Let me see. Oh, there you go. Quick internet connection. Nice. It is 5:45 in the morning. A good time for a quick pre-dawn stream. That's always fun. And it looks like, because we have good internet connection, that YouTube is actually giving correct information with the average view duration as incomplete. Normally it doesn't start that way. Let's see what color we want. I was thinking, there are a few people that have a job that they make videos of, and some of these jobs get a lot of views on YouTube. I'd be like, anyway, along the same lines, for a disabled person to have a job, their enemy, so let's see, disabled people with jobs, they always battle with efficiency issues. I know that was my biggest issue that could not be overcome. Now, for knowledge's sake, I would love to actually see a disabled person live stream themselves doing their job. I would love to see how fast or slow they are while working. For comparison sake, okay? If somebody has a job that they feel that they do adequately well, then they should live stream themselves doing that job so that other people with disabilities can gauge where they fall in relation to that person's abilities. I feel like that would be a great way of setting expectations for yourself. Actually able to kind of interact with reality. You make the thought, or you make the action of working more concrete. And when you do this, and you have a good understanding of what's involved, I feel like you'd be a happier person if you knew right from the jump where you fell in that spectrum. Because and there's also a reality, and there's what you would call maybe a just spectrum of unfair to fair. But reality reality says that society doesn't care where you fall. It's up to you to know where you fall and to make I guess you would say make your desires kind of conform in such a way that's going to minimize the depression you feel. So, this is about, I could just say, goal equals reducing sadness. Oh, there we are. Back with the YouTube not giving correct information. It says the average view duration is the length of the stream. That is not correct. It's always interesting to me when you apply for, let's get a different color because that color is hard to read. When you apply for federal government jobs, you can apply through something called Schedule A, disability. This is, let's say, an incomplete idea. It sounds good, but because having a disability is so varied, you're only picking people with minor issues. For example, if you have CP, you cannot compete with ADHD. You are going to lose a job to someone with ADHD every single time. The same thing with autism. CP cannot compete with autism. There are just certain disabilities that have no path forward. Here's a story. So, when you do try to get a job with a disability, there's a program called vested, right? And it's supposed to like help you find jobs, help you with interview skills, even though that's all nonsense. They don't do any of that. And if they did, it's woefully incomplete. Anyway, when you're in high school, this is essentially when you kind of get hooked into the system, right, with your IEP. It's your individual education plan. So you'll have this vested counselor come in to a meeting with you and your research room teacher and other people, some administrators, what have you. And they'll talk about your future goals, which I think is a nice way of saying you won't realize any of these nice waste of time. Anyway, they ask you about your future goals and what you might like to do. And as the years go on, you can change these goals. Apparently, the vested program is supposed to help you reach these goals in some fantasy world. Anyway, for a while, my goal was something that I think any college student would have. I forget exactly what it was, but it was probably just to have a science job or something. Science job. And then, years later, when that wasn't happening, I was working for my parents doing some administrative work, and the vested people call you up to update your goals. And I said, oh, well, I'm working for my parents now, so technically I have a job. And what they wanted me to do, vested wanted me to do, was update my goal to admin assistant, probably so that they could call that a win and go home. It's all just, again, total fake nonsense. Designed to, quote, show success in a situation where there is only sadness. The worst thing you can do in any situation like that is to design a system that shows fake success, and you're just covering up ultimate sadness that the person that, let's see, other people don't feel. It's so absolutely disgusting to me. The way disabled people are what's the right word? Conditioned, I guess. Conditioned is abusive. I think that's my main takeaway. The way disabled people are conditioned to think they're gonna have a life they're not gonna have is disgusting. It's like a trick. It's like it's fake. Because reality is constantly dark. So you need this is the false logic here. False logic. You have fake light. Reduces sad, dark, feelings. However, fakeness amplifies issues. It's not to say that all social work and all social programs are nonsense. I just think in this particular case, so you gotta go case by case to judge, I guess, worthiness. But if you do happen to be one of those people on the downside of the bell curve. Life is terrible. There was one of my friends, not the greatest well-known friend, but just a person really, a friendly person, was making the case that 50% of people in America are depressed, and I said, that's not true. What is true is 50% may think they are. 50% may think they are depressed. In reality, people have no conception of actual depression. Depression that lingers and eats at you and changes the way you dream at night. That's real. The reason why people ultimately find some level of happiness in their life after being depressed is because their path forward is ultimately easier. They had more avenues to travel than someone who's truly depressed. If you're truly depressed, it's because true depression is because you're actually stuck. If you're not actually stuck, you can't be depressed for long, because the mind will work to find a way out until it finds that way. And then you'll end up having a kid and being like, oh, my life is so much better now, let's have more kids. While other people remain stuck with no progress to be made. I remember years ago, my friend got married, and she was telling me that she didn't want to have kids, but her husband really wanted to have kids. And then a few years ago, they started having kids, and she was telling me that they're the greatest, they're the best, you should have some. And like, I was just thinking, I was like, okay, well, you're using your kids as a management tool for depression. So in your case, or her case, she had a way out. And people like me, we don't have ways out. You just gotta, I don't know, stick and endure for as long as your mind, and body want. Alright, let's start a new page. That's so colorful. Such nice font. That'd be interesting. It's too dark. Let's go with that. Ooh, I don't like that. It's too dark. That's not the right color. That's better. You see how slight change influences, not even close. It's because they got lazy. Influences. There you go. Influences drive. That's what I was saying on another stream right before I left. If you have issues with sadness or things like that, maybe some color play / lighting would help. It's like, I don't personally find the light from traditional light bulb. It's sort of depressing. I like change. Change equals happiness. Even if it's a program repeating pattern. it's still a slight change. Tricks the mind. Mellow. It's probably meditation. $6:22, 36 minutes. Not bad. It was funny. My little nephew, I think he thinks he's being funny, but he's kind of playfully mean, I guess you would say. And I always say, you should learn to be a monk or something. A peaceful, thoughtful monk. Modern society has a need for them. Doesn't care about that need. I feel like we are in advancing yet dying species. I think that's pretty accurate. I saw this headline. It was a news article. It says, people care more about the life of one person they know more than care for an entire animal species. You cannot be industrial. Industrial is to not care about life. If you're industrial, then you do not care about life. I don't mean human life. I mean all of life. This is a term people don't understand. All of life. I saw maybe a year ago said that we reached the point where the mass created by humans, so I guess just like artificial mass, is now greater than all of the biomass on the planet. That is insane. I wonder where the next environmental hazard is going to be. They just had the one in France with the lithium battery plant going up in flames. I wonder where the next environmental catastrophe is going to be. I guess we'll find out. We won't have to wait too long. It's almost like in America, mass shootings of television importance. Average every 2 weeks. And notice keyword is television importance, because there's a bunch that don't get national coverage. What is that the color of? Is that like That little gold color, what is that the color of? It's like construction paper. Oh, I know what it reminds me of. There's a YouTube channel. It's, you can learn so much from YouTube. There's a YouTube channel. I think it's called Number File. Number File. And they always write everything out. Yeah, YouTube channel Number File writes everything out on tan colored paper. It's like almost the color of this background. Let's see. There you go. See how you can always make stuff work. This annoys me right here. Why does this always stop at a certain point and not show me that it continues? Just let it drag through live. Like, it's annoying that it does that. I would like to see it just progress live. YouTube should work on that. Oh, another thing I dislike about YouTube is this right here. YouTube posts are useful, but editing is terrible. Whenever I go to post a picture, it always cuts my picture down. And usually, most of the time, because I post headlines or whatever from news, it will cut the headline. So I have to reconfigure how big my original picture is to try to get all of the headline to be shown, and it is so annoying. I don't know why YouTube can't fix that. It's terrible. They need to get on that, fix that, because it's nonsense that it doesn't function. Let's see here. What time is it? It is 6:36. That's not bad. I always look to see if I'm awake this early. If there's gonna be a sunrise. But today, it looks like it is overcast, mid Atlantic weather. It amazes me how people survived here before there was modern heating. I understand global warming is a thing, and I understand it's bad. And I understand it's not all about the warming aspect of it. I understand it produces extremes, extreme cold, extreme heat, extreme rainfall events, and extreme drought. However, the cold weather will kill you so much faster than the heat does. One thing that's pretty interesting is Mount, let's see, Mount Everest summit videos. These people risk their lives to go up to the top of this mountain. They have oxygen mask on. Although I respect the people that had no oxygen mask, who did it in the past. And they take like these 30-second videos of this summit. And I have to say, I know people think it's like remarkable and impressive, whatever. But for whatever reason, I just find it unimpressive. I don't know why. I just find the panoramic view that everybody loves so much to be unimpressive. I think, honestly, flying in an airplane, or if you look at the images of the SR-71 Blackbird, I think that's impressive. I don't think Mount Everest is that impressive. There's a guy on YouTube that I watch all the time. Again, YouTube. Gabriel. Traveler. And he's been to the Himalayas many times. And he's videoed the treks he's done. I don't believe he's ever done Mount Everest, but he's done a lot of the treks around there. Nepal. Trekking. He's an interesting dude. He's a he's a clear reference. I know not everyone's YouTube channel is the same. They're all unique. But he has made videos where he tells you how much he makes per year, essentially through his primary income stream of YouTube. And he's got about, this is just nice because it's a nice understandable figure. He's got 600,000 He's got 600,000 subscribers, and he makes roughly about 60,000 per 60,000 per year. So that's just a nice understandable figure. It's essentially whatever your subscriber number is. You can take a few zeros off that and understand how much you can make. Again, not everyone follows that pathway, but that's his. I like travel channels like that because it shows you again not to be US not to be US centric. I feel like a bunch of Americans think the only country that exists, well, I think they believe two countries exist, and that's it. The US and China. And for stupid reasons, they don't like China. Not understanding that a great majority of our economy relies on that country. So if they care so much about economic prosperity, you would think they would care about the welfare of China and the Chinese people. But people are stupid. And here's an observation. People make the connections they want to make. That's it. People make the connections they want to make. Everything else can go away. I think that's pretty fair. That's not a fair thing to do. That's a fair observation. Let's see. Oh, this is just for people that use GoPro. and then use the camera housing so that the camera doesn't get wet or damaged or something. When you go to take the camera out of the housing, I don't understand how people do that only using their fingers. I have to use a screwdriver to hold the plastic slide in place while at the same time moving my fingers underneath the latch to pry the latch up to open the case. GoPro, let's just say, very interesting. I wish that these creations would be saved automatically to a cloud or something, because it would be cool to see them all connected, but I don't do that. It would be interesting to see different people from different cultures around the world all make these and see how they're all different. I think that would be very interesting. It would be like informal cross cultural informal cross-cultural analysis. I think that would be very useful. Maybe they already do that, but just an idea. I am honestly so tired of hearing about economic inequality, gender issues, I wish that we would hear more about things like cross cultural issues. Americans have very little education in cross-cultural studies. As far as American knowledge of other cultures go, it's primarily based off the phrase If I had to sum up American culture, that would be the attitude. Our attitude towards other cultures and our attitude towards other people that we feel aren't of the same economic status. Uh-oh. Seems like my internet connection has diminished. I think it's still working, but we'll see how much longer I want to go under that condition. Considering we are nearing the end of my second, what you would call, I guess, thought piece. That's nice. If you were to label all of these individual files as I don't understand how that's spelled wrong. Thought pieces. That's pretty accurate. Maybe artistic thought pieces. How about that? Nice. I think we have a new term, artistic thought pieces. I like how they're primarily just created. This whole thing is just done based off the reading I do and prior knowledge I have. So as long as you continue to read and think about things, anyone can create these. Read and think and care. If you don't read and think, you can't care. You might care about select few things, but you'll never see the world as a whole. I think now we can keep going, I believe. We'll see how long I'm in a little bit of pain right now. And usually when that happens, I lose my motivation to sit here and do this. Pain is a creative killer. I think you can always tell too, because pain makes you slow down. Your mind goes elsewhere. It's like to more important baser needs. I think the mind tricks us to think we are above we are above biology in a sense. But we are just animals subject to distress. If I'm not mistaken, Mother Teresa was famous for taking in sick people and not giving them proper medical care in terms of pain management, because she thought that suffering brings you closer to God. That's nonsense. Watching people suffer with resources available is evil. It's not saint-like. That's a nice overlap. You would think the way it was written that the blue text would have come after the orange, but no. It's like, you never know. What was the chain of events deceiving anyway? I wanted to look here. Okay, I think that is going to be good enough. Good enough. Satisfied. Yes. I like that coloring. Again, I like the font. I like the setup. Somebody said before it was unique. Doesn't get that many views, but I think it's unique and worth doing. I don't see anyone on YouTube doing anything like this. Maybe this should be less of a... This is a thought. Where can I put this? A blog versus education channel. At this point, I think it's mostly educational. It's like in education and thinking. Right, because it doesn't fit into any one category. It's not strictly just one thing. It's more just an education and thinking. Anyway, I think that's going to be the end, because I am in some pain, and I think when pain happens like that, it's just best to take what you've done and call it, and wait for a refresh. So, I hope you enjoyed. I'll give you one last look at this. I think it's cool to look at. Maybe somewhere down the line, some people say they learned something from it, took notes from it or something, made some useful connection. People are way too obsessed with making personal connections. Why don't you make some thoughtful connections? Anyway, that's good to leave on. So I hope you enjoyed, and until a later time.